Episode 103. Welcome to Study Session 1. The Idea of Social Institutions. Introduction. Social institutions have become important systemic mechanisms through which social life is regulated. By this, man is able to understand his place, his role, and interdependence of various institutions which exist to affect his or her life. From birth to death, social institutions play a significant role in shaping, molding, and ensuring the society works the way it should. When any of these institutions shirk in its responsibilities, other social institutions will be affected. This explains the interdependence of social institutions. When you have studied this session, you should be able to define social systems, explain various functions of social institutions. The idea of a social system. Can you remember the saying that man is not an island to himself? Indeed, man, woman, exists and enjoys his or her being by virtue of social interaction. You will realize that you have friends, relations, co-workers, neighbors, among others to which you interact with. At the very beginning of man, God realized the need for interaction and that it was not ideal for man to be alone. Hence, Eve was created and Adam had somebody to share responsibilities with. They started interacting. This was the foundation of interdependence from the time of Adam. Every society, no matter how simple or complex, is made up of different groups of individuals interacting within a recognized social system. Indeed, all existing social organizations in every society can be regarded as social systems in as much as they consist of interacting individuals. A social system may be defined as a plurality of individuals interacting with each other according to shared cultural norms and meanings. Ogbun and Nimkov, 1964. Charon, 1979. Conceive social interaction as mutual social action, individuals communicating to each other in what they do, orienting their actions to each other. These interacting units are basically persons, but there may be groups of organizations of persons within the system. The concept system is important because the effectiveness of an organized activity depends upon the nature of the interaction of the parts. For instance, the effectiveness and smooth running of a university depends on the existing relationship between the various component parts. These are the Vice Chancellor, the University Management Council, the University Senate, the academic staff, the non-academic staff, the students, among others. Similarly, a company may also be viewed as a social system composed of various interacting faculties, departments, bureaus, and communities such as the accounting department, the human resource departments, the purchasing department, the audit department, etc. The departments and divisions are composed of human beings. The nature of their interaction will determine their level of production. There is need not only to balance the parts, but also to ensure harmonious relationship of the human unit. Let us use your family as an example of a working system. In the family are the father, mother, and the children. Typical of every social system is that roles are assigned to individuals. These roles are expected to be performed if the system is to function effectively. Thus, the father is expected to supply the financial and material needs of the constituents, wife and children, while the mother performs the roles of a wife and mother. The children are given roles too. They fetch water, do house chores, and go to school. If any of these fail in their roles, there will be problem in the family. For instance, if the father is sacked and does not have other means of generating money, the family suffers in that there will be scarcity of food. They may also be owing rents, and the landlords may threaten them with ejection. The children will also be owing tuition fees and may be sent away from school. The wife has little to provide in terms of food since the money is now limited. This will affect ration of food. This is how a typical system works. A problem from a part of the system will affect other parts. Ideally, any social system can be viewed as a network of roles. A relationship can be dyadic when the behavior of a particular actor is meaningfully oriented to another actor. For instance, the role of a doctor is in relation to his or her patients. The role of a teacher is in relation to the students, while the role of a banker is defined in relation to the customers. Also, a husband role is defined in relation to that of the husband. When roles are defined this way, actors must perform to ensure that the relationship is sustained. Performance or non-performance of these roles is sanctioned positively or negatively. This is to ensure that persons in dyadic relationship internalize the standards of behavior expected of them. As a result, a student who performs well is positively sanctioned through awards and prizes, while the student who fails to meet the university minimum cumulative average is advised to withdraw. Negative sanction. A relationship can also be triadic. This happens when friendship is enlarged beyond the dyad. Look at your friends and ask the question, how did you meet them? You may have met them through introduction by your own intimate friend. This will ensure that even when one person decides to withdraw from the relationship, others will carry on. In other words, social interaction is built on a set of social networks of relationships. You may also consider those you consider your family, friends, and how the relationship started. You are invited as the commissioner for the culture in your state to participate in an ongoing project on social development. Your task is to explain the dyadic and triadic forms of social interactions. How would you go about performing this risk? Feedback. Dyadic relationship is the relationship between two persons. Example, the role of a doctor in relation to his or her patients, while triadic relationship happens when friendship is enlarged beyond the dyad. Furthermore, the social system usually performs two major functions. These are the manifest and latent functions. The major difference between these two functions, according to Merton, 1957, is that while the manifest functions on the one hand represent the intended functions of a phenomenon or goals of behavior in a social system, latent functions on the other hand are the unintended functions of a phenomenon in a social system. For example, a manifest function of the school is to educate the populace, but in performing this function, it may lead to latent consequences by widening the level of inequality between individuals in the society. People with higher education attainment tend to make more money than those with lower educational attainment. Study session summary. In study session 1, you have learned that man is not an island to himself. He needs to involve himself in networks of relationship which is defined by roles. The relationship can be simple or complex form of organization defined by roles. Roles assigned must be performed to ensure that the relationship is sustained. However, well carried out roles are positively sanctioned, while the failure to perform interacts negative reactions or sanctions. A relationship can be dyadic, 2 persons, or triadic, 3 persons. Fundamentally, Social system performs latent and manifest functions which may affect future social roles and interactions. End of study session 1. Thanks for listening.